Hello everyone. I know most of my videos I brought out the name Jehovah, who he really is not, and this is not God's name. I called the Watchtower today, and I have an audio. I'm going to play it. If you have ears to hear and your mind to open the possibility, listen to the conversation, you might find out what I found out. The Bible was written in Hebrew and Greek. The only place mentioned God's name is in Hebrew. Yes, it was over 7,000 times. I don't disagree with that. The only thing I disagree is when a religion trying to convince me that God was American, God was speak English, his son was speaking English. You may say, no, Jesus was Hebrew, not English. Well, he was Hebrew. But the way they spell Jesus and Jehovah, there's no letter J in Hebrew. The only thing they had close to being a J is a Y. There's your H, W, H. The way they spell Jehovah, J-E-H-O-V-A-H. Original Hebrew, it was a W, not a V. So J and V is 100% wrong. The vowels may be right, may be wrong. So that leave the H's is 100% right. This guy was trying to convince me because the name of Jehovah sounds better. The way they pronounce God's name sounds better. But people, if you stop and think about one thing, major thing, if you want to pray to God, wouldn't you want to know how to spell his name and say his name? Not when it's made up in a different language because it sounds better. I'd rather know God's name if it's Yahweh, Yahweh, or anything else. As long as I know the correct 4 letters is Y-H, W-H. I don't want to put a J in front of it. I don't want to put an M in front of it. I don't want to put a T in front of it if there was only a Y. So I'm going to play this audio and we go from there.
Service department, may I help you?
Hey, how you doing today?
Good.
I got something is puzzling me. I was researching Hebrew alphabet, and I know something that kind of struck me that out of all of their letters, from A to Z, there is no letter J in their language or alphabet. So how do we get Jehovah with a J when there's no J in Hebrew letters?
Okay, it has to do with what is called transliteration. And that is when you change one another and try to say the same sounds that they would have in another language. For example, the name John. How do we spell that in English? John.
Yes.
Okay, that's a Bible name. How do you say that in Italian? Giovanni. But they have that sound J is by G-I. So they're not having that particular letter in the alphabet is not as important as trying to say it in a way that people recognize it as God's name.
Yeah, because I was doing more research, and it says our English letters was between 1500 and 1600, and that's when the letter J was invented. Otherwise, in the old Bible scriptures that I looked up, the letter J was actually the letter I before they invented the letter J.
Well, that's not important. What's important is that if you look in the dictionary and you look under Jehovah, it says the name of God in the Bible. That's the way people in English commonly recognize the name of God from the Bible.
Right.
That's what's more important. If you look in other languages, it may be with an I. It may be with a Y. It may be with a G.
Well, the only language I was more concerned about is I'm not worried about other languages. If the Bible was written in Greek, or well, it was written in Greek. I'm talking about in Spanish, German. Then I would know their letters. But I was more interested the letters that was pronounced in Hebrew.
And that's one of the things that what we have to go with is what people commonly recognize as the way to pronounce God's name in the language that the person is speaking. And that varies from language to language. Now, in English, it's Jehovah, and that's spelled with a J.
Right.
Now, there may not have been a J, letter J, in Hebrew, but that's not what's important. It's that every place that the letters that are used for God's name show up in the Bible is that it's translated that the name Jehovah shows up in the English Bible in each one of those places. That's what's important.
Thank you very much. So it's not important how to say the name right in Hebrew. It's not important how to spell the name right in Hebrew. Long as it's the way Watchtower wants you to believe how the name is supposed to be for their religion and the Bible students. People, you can't take the Creator or His Son and make letters to replace the original letters in that alphabet. If God's name was Jehovah in English, I would believe His name is Jehovah. If His name was in Spanish, the way they say Jehovah, I would honor that name. But it wasn't. The scriptures was written in Greek and Hebrew, and God's name was written throughout the Hebrew scriptures. We cannot take man, like the Watchtower, and make up a name that was made up by the Catholics too many years ago and use it as God's name. We're talking about the Creator of the universe. He says don't use His name in a worthless way. Well, using it in a different way, not to even say it the correct way when it's supposed to be a Y in front of the letters, not a J. Wouldn't that profound God's name? Because you know it doesn't start with a J. You know there's not a letter J in Hebrew language or the alphabet. People, it's time to wake up. Time to realize that the Watchtower is scamming you to believe in a false God when originally there is no God named Jehovah. You heard the guy even partially admitted that there is a possibility no letter J in Hebrew. Excuse me, Watchtower is supposed to be more smarter than me. They're supposed to have more resources than me. And they can't look up the Hebrew or the Jews' alphabet and to see there's no letter J in the alphabet. So who has more sense doing research when it comes to teaching 8 million people the correct way to pronounce God's name? If you don't know God's name, wouldn't it be better to say you don't know than make up a name? So please, do your research. Watchtower don't want you to learn the truth. They don't want you to do research. That's the reason they got these people to pretend to know the truth and teach them their ways. So all these people is writing in the writing department is lies, deceits, false prophecies. And I am not going to pray to a false God that his name originally starts with a Y, not a J. Thank you, and have a nice day.